Hi, this is Janet Zaretsky, and this is How to Be Your Own BS Detector. Stop downplaying your worth. I have found that there are 3 keys to you owning your power and stop the habits and ways of operating that have you downplay your worth. Now, this is designed to be impactful, so I do request you stay present and participate in what I'm going to ask you to do, even though there's some anonymity in you just watching this on a webinar. What I do know is the more you do the work, the more impact this will have. So today, we're going to learn how to get past thinking you must be perfect and get past imposter syndrome. You'll stop giving away your power and undermining your confidence and learn how to get heard by anyone, anytime, anywhere, and identify what it takes to get paid what you're truly worth. So here's the thing. There is a problem. And the problem is that we, as women, often do not own our power, do not magnify our brilliance, and do not get paid what we are worth. And I'm tired of it. Aren't you? So let's do some work together to have you walk away from this webinar today with some keys to go to work on. So here's what I'm certain of. People who stand in their true power and know who they really are get noticed and get ahead in the world while everyone else continues to wait for the right moment or circumstances while opportunities pass them by. So, as I said, the design of this is to actually do work, and we're going to do that together. As a business coach who has worked with over 32,000 people over nearly 24 years, I know that you wouldn't be here if this wasn't important to you. And I'm committed to give you something that's valuable. And I also know as human beings, even though you're anonymous, we tend to protect ourselves. We don't want to look bad. So we may not always tell the truth. And I'm inviting you to be brutally honest with yourself. After all, I am known as the BS to Brilliance Master. So that BS has got to get out of your way. So here's the thing. I'm going to ask you to do something real quick for me. So, actually it's for you. What would you say to someone new? So I'm asking you to write down on a piece of paper, 1 to 2 sentences most. How would you introduce yourself? What would you say? How would you have me know you? Now, I'm going to keep talking for a second, but I really want you to write that down and just to take the time to go, oh, what would somebody introduce me? How would I introduce myself? Okay, so we're going to use that in a minute here. Let's talk about getting noticed. In order to be successful, anyone in business or in a career must get noticed. You have to stand out in a crowded marketplace, both in person and online. There's a lot of competition, not just for business, but for attention. I want you to win in life and in business. And I know you are smart people. So what I have to say to you today will not give you more traditional information. If you're open, however, I intend to open your eyes and your mind to a few keys that will up-level your success and have you get noticed. So I primarily work with managers, executives, and small business owners to own their power, magnify your brilliance, and make a ton of money. As I said, I'm known as the BS to Brilliance Master because I get the BS out of the way so your brilliance shines. And there are some key things to do to be fully, brilliantly you. So my assertion, as I said, is there is an issue. One of the issues I see is there is a phenomenon of downplaying your worth, downplaying your power, you not being the powerhouse you could be and not making the money you want and deserve. So let's start by looking at something we all do all the time. We meet other people. That is often, by the way, where the problem of downplaying your power or not owning who you are is evident. Now, for some of you, this happens at work or in networking or meeting clients or partners or companies or in your industry. This is likely happening on a daily basis. And depending on the size of your organization, you may be meeting new coworkers even. Regardless, everyone in business is always meeting others. Well, have you ever heard impressions last? Ever wonder how and why you can ensure that the impression you leave is the one you want to leave? So as I said, I'm going to give you some information. I'm going to do some interactive work, even though we won't actually be interactive, to support you in getting noticed. As I said, most of us diminish our power and downplay ourselves. As I talk about these, write yes, or make a check mark or make a note to yourself. See if you do any of these things. These are things that I say are ways in which you're downplaying your power. So when you are called on to say what you do and who you are at a networking event or a social situation, do you say something memorable, surprising, maybe even boastful? Or do you say something and you know it isn't memorable and it downplays how really great you are? Or do you simply explain what you do or describe your job or profession, but it doesn't really leave anyone with any sense of you? Or look at a different situation. In a meeting, do you have an idea, but you don't say anything because you're afraid it's not perfect, or you won't get a good reaction, you're afraid of it? Sometimes what happens too is somebody else says it. Or if you say something when called upon, then you deal with self-doubt. Or you may even have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is where you're always waiting for someone to find out you are a fraud. No matter how much you accomplish, you don't think it's good enough. One of my favorite quotes is from Maya Angelou. She said, "I have written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I run a game on everybody, and they're going to find me out." Can you see that you downplay your worth and that has you not be as powerful as you could be? You certainly don't get noticed that way. So listen to some of the common reasons I found and see what fits for you or resonates for you. One might be you were taught it is wrong to brag. Another one, you think, I'm not perfect, I'm not good enough. Or you've failed before, you've been fired, or you screwed up in the past. Or another one that is, I think, very common is, I don't deserve it. Whatever it is, you think you don't deserve that. You might even think, I'm shy, I don't want attention. Or you're afraid if you say something great about yourself, it'll be a lie, and somebody's going to find out. You are afraid you are a fraud. Another very common one is you don't want people to expect that much from you. Or if you're better and you brag, someone will criticize you. Or worse, somebody won't like you. So let me just say a few general things to this. I'm going to assert and assume that one or more of those resonated. And I know most people fit into one of those areas, and that is in the way of skyrocketing your success and income. So here's the thing. You lie to yourself. Your mind spits out the same thing over and over, like you are not good enough. It is actually not true. It is a thinking habit rooted in something that likely did happen long ago in the past. And you hear yourself say, in your mind's eye, you hear yourself say it. Then what happens is you look for evidence, which, by the way, you always find because you have a myopic, telescopic view. And what I find is what you're looking for, you find. Then what happens is you act out of the thoughts you had that you are not good enough, which influences everything. And then circularly, you prove it to yourself. You are right. You are not good enough. I assert you have thinking, acting, and not acting habits that all prove you are right. So the real truth is you're actually great. You actually are perfect as you are. Who cares if people criticize you? You minimizing your power and brilliance won't change what other people think. You already have all that you need. Quit fighting the ghosts of the past. So what? Things happened. It's over. Move on. Embrace who you are. So I'm going to give you a new habit to replace this old habit. I want you to look for evidence of your own greatness. Now, one way I found to do this is either interview other people, 3 to 5 people, and ask them, what are the things you think that are really good about me or my strengths, however, whatever words you want to use, and then write it down because your brain doesn't want you to remember it. Or pull out testimonials or even job reviews and put them in a folder, whether it's on your computer or in hard copy. Then every day, open it up or double click it, open it up, and then read it. And then go through your day looking for the evidence of this new truth. Now, here's a really cool thing. I've given this exercise to a ton of people, and a ton of people have told me it is so impactful because what I say, you will find what you're looking for. So start looking for the evidence of your own greatness. Now, that little mind talk, all the negative, I'm not good enough, that's not going anywhere. Let it be white noise. Start creating new patterns of thinking and acting. So I also have several free resources for you at the end of this talk, and I will give those to you then. The second key is get heard. Stop giving away your power. You cannot get heard if you are giving away your power. I am crystal clear that you are powerful. You would not be in the positions you are if you weren't powerful, and frankly, you wouldn't be watching this webinar. However, there are situations where you give away your power. So I want to move this from theory to reality and look at situations themselves in which you give away your power. And by the way, I do mean it when I say give away your power. You don't lose your power. It is not an accident. You have power. And then there are actions you take and actions you don't take that have you give it away. And this is not an all or nothing proposition. Any place or anything you can see about where you give it away will give you access, a doorway in to taking it back and owning your power. So let's look at what does it look like to give away your power. So see if any of the following situations fit for you. I'm going to go through some common situations where you may give away your power. Acknowledge it to yourself. So somebody challenges you, or you're concerned you might be confronted. So you back down, you don't say anything. You're upset inside, but you don't express anything. You are swallowing your power. Someone does something that upsets you, and you get angry, and you're a yeller and a huffer and a puffer, and you're throwing away all that power. Another one is anytime anyone speaks in a certain tone of voice or looks at you a certain way. See, I had a really loud, yelling lieutenant colonel father. So anytime, anywhere, somebody begins to yell at me, I give away my power to something that's not real. My dad has been gone for a number of years, and he's not been yelling at me for many decades. I am in a fight with a ghost. Okay, another one is you get emotional. Now, I have no problem. I'm emotional. I get moved. I love emotions. But in that moment of giving away my power to tears or other form of emotional behavior, I don't have my power. I'm literally just being emotional. Another one is gossip. When you're competitive and you gossip about someone or something to make yourself look or feel better. Or you have failed before. Failure is a threat, so you won't stand for yourself and what you do. You give away your power to that past failure. Or you clam up afraid to hurt somebody. You're literally sacrificing your power. Last couple, you step over something. This is one of the most common ones I see. I live in Texas, so I tell people all the time, if you step over those little things like a rattlesnake, it will bite you on the butt. You're afraid of backlash, so you step over it and you go, oh, it's fine, but it's not, and it builds up. And then the last one that I want to bring up is when you're called upon to share yourself, you minimize your accomplishments and you listen to your internal voice of self-doubt. You are throwing away your power. So here's the thing about it. Everything that you saw, or even didn't see it, but it maybe reminded you of something else, is all part of reaction. It is a knee-jerk reaction. You did not thoughtfully plan what happened. It is just what happens. We are reacting all the time. So you might be wondering, okay, Janet, so what? We're reacting all the time. It's just what we do. So here's the thing. There's actually a choice. And when you can choose to not react, but rather to respond, and I'm saying responding being a thoughtful, created action in response to something happening, it's much more powerful and productive. So when these sorts of things happen, and you do have a lot of situations that cause you to react all the time. If we had the time, we could walk through your day, we could count them, but we don't. So trust me, for a few minutes, you'll realize you have lots of those moments, both at work, at home, and in your community. And being reactionary undermines your confidence. So I'm going to introduce you to a tool that I think you're going to find useful. So we're going to talk about neuroscience. I am a certified conversational intelligence coach. That's the neuroscience of conversations based on Judith Glaser's work called Conversational Intelligence. That is based upon Judith Glaser's work, the neuroscience of conversations and conversational intelligence. So I'm going to give you some really simple and available to use right away tools. So what happens when you react is your brain is actually getting triggered. Your reptilian brain, which we call the amygdala, and we call it an amygdala hijack. So what happens when one of these situations happens, your brain perceives a threat. It may not be a real threat. It's not like somebody's running at you with a gun, but your brain perceives that threat. And the minute a threat is perceived, your brain gives you a neurochemical cocktail. I call it a bad margarita. It's like cortisol and epinephrine. And when that happens, like someone says or does something or simply raises their voice, your brain gets threatened. You experience this amygdala hijack. You get this chemical cocktail. And the really bad part of it is you're in this fight, flight, freeze, or appease others reaction. That's the amygdala hijack. And then the second part of it is it slows down your response time to get to what we call the third eye, which is the prefrontal cortex, which is where all your brilliance, your creativity, your higher order executive functioning lies. And you can't think. I call it the stupid era. It's like you take this brilliant, amazing person, their brain gets threatened, cortisol, epinephrine, a few other things get released, and it's like, I can't think. So that's what a reaction looks like. And if you look at the slide, it says we reveal less, we expect more, we assume the worst, we look with caution, we tell secrets, we become yes people. So of course, it makes sense. What you would want is on the other side, the prefrontal cortex, where oxytocin and dopamine, what we call the good margarita, comes in. It's the feel good. And we see reality more clearly and we are more open to engage. And look here, we reveal more, we expect less and over and deliver, we assume the best, look with an open heart, tell the truth, and yes, to confronting the truth. So how do we deal with this? Well, there's a tool, and I'm going to take you through this, and I have a little process for you to help you learn how to stop reacting and start responding. And if you practice this, you will actually create new brain patterns. So it's something that we call the ladder of conclusions. So regarding what you were thinking about before, where there was a perceived threat, somebody looks at you, like my situation with my father, anybody would yell at me, my brain perceives my dad, me a little kid, my dad, big man yelling at me, okay? So if you walk through this with me, you'll see it. So pick any one of those situations or just any other time where you had an experience of being upset. What happened? We look at the bottom of the ladder conclusions where it says conversation. Something happened. Somebody said something to you, you said something to someone else. Then you had physical reactions, like your throat gets tight, or you get hot, or your hair stands on end, or you get tied up. And then you started having feelings, anger, upset, annoyance, and then you go up the ladder. You start having thoughts about it, like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with them? And you're like, beliefs. Why are people like this? And conclusions. I can never do anything right. And then if you look on the left side, it says making stuff up. And the right side, it says assumptions, interpretations, and meaning. So when this is happening quickly, by the way, when this is happening, we make stuff up. And then you and I live as if what we made up and our assumptions and interpretations and the meaning is the truth. And then we interact with not what happened, but we interact with what we made up as if it's the truth. Then we're in a fight. And oftentimes, by the way, the other person's doing the same thing. So we're both having a fight about something that didn't happen that we made up. Crazy, isn't it? That happens all the time. So I created a process that I want to share with you that I think is very valuable. And this is how you rewire your brain using the WAIT technique. So the WAIT technique is very simple. What actually happened? The facts only. Like really the facts. Who said what? Where were you? When did it happen? Just he said, she said, not he is a. If it's any of the descriptive, it's not what happened. So that's the first thing. Then you got to look at what did I add to what happened? What did I add? What did I interpret? What did I assume? What did I make up? And then take all of that away. And what you are left with is simply what actually happened. Now, the beauty of this is if he said, she said, he said this, I said this, I said this, now I'm in facts. What can you do with facts? You can take action based on reality. You don't have to be up this ladder of conclusions. Now, the coolest thing about this is it will take some time and some rigor and some practice, but I've seen people, a lot of my clients have literally created a new brain pattern. We have this wonderful thing called neuroplasticity of the brain, and neuroplasticity of the brain allows us to rewire ourselves. It's not like I'm not good enough is going away, but it can become white noise. If you actually create this, and you can write down stuff and you'll see the patterns, and then first you'll just notice the patterns, and then you'll notice the patterns and break the patterns. Then you'll notice the pattern, break the pattern, and create something new. It's pretty cool, isn't it? So if you look, the last key is get ahead. Write out what you say your work is worth, what you deserve to be paid, in whatever format, hourly, monthly, yearly, that speaks to you, and then write out what you're currently being paid. Is there a gap? Now, for most of the people that I've done this in workshops and speeches and in interactive webinars, I find, yes, there is a difference. Here's the question, why? Now, most likely you have some reason and some justification for why, but that reason itself keeps you stuck at the level you are. Have you ever wondered how other people get paid more for similar work? Have you ever thought, I do as good, if not better work? How come I don't get paid as much? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. They ask for what they want. They make a case for they are worth it. See, if you go through everything I've said today, there is one theme really. You are powerful. You are valuable. You are brilliant. And when you can see yourself as that and make a case for it, you will get paid what you are worth. And for us as women, it's more crucial. Did you know that one study showed that men negotiate their first salary 57% of the time compared to 7% of women? And we all know the gender gap in pay. We can go into generally and specifically, women have had negative repercussions for asking. However, more often, I find it is one's less than great view of yourself that keeps you stuck there. Or another reason that happens, I find, is when you've gotten pushback, by the way, which is simply a negotiation tactic, you have backed down. Ladies, we have tolerated lower pay. We have trained our employers that we will work for less. And by the way, this also shows up when we're asking for a promotion, which of course has more pay. So how we're going to close the gap is we are going to ask for what we want. I'm inviting us, you and I, every one of us, to own your power and your magnificence and create and ask for, stand for, negotiate, step up, step out of your comfort zone and make what you deserve. And if you notice that your brain gets threatened by it, we just gave you the tool. Walk down that ladder of conclusions using the weight technique. By the way, in negotiation, I always tell my clients, whether it's fee-based or salary-based, the number to ask for is the one that makes you gag. Like it's so hard to get it out. You might not get it, but you better start high instead of start low. It's vitally important for us to learn how to speak up for what you want and make a case for being well compensated, rewarded, and valued for your contributions. What you want and you deserve will not just fall in your lap. And ladies, you deserve it all. You are a huge contribution. So, one last little thing I want you to write down. What I want you to do is remember the first thing I asked you to do. Now, if you stood in owning your power, owning your brilliance, and getting paid what you are worth, what would you say now in 1 to 2 sentences that give me or anyone meeting you a sense of how valuable and amazing you are? And by the way, sometimes I still have people that are challenged with this. Ask someone who knows you well to introduce you to you. See, what I find is that when people tell others who they really are, and you actually get to own your brilliance, it's stunning. So to sum this up, no more BS. You are brilliant. Own it. Take back and own your power. Ask for and get what you want and deserve. Now, I do have a couple things to give you. So let me tell you about them and I'll tell you how you can get them. So the first thing is my Unapologetic Powerhouse Manifesto. I'll send this to you in a PDF that you can print it out by an 8x11, and it's very powerful if you stand in each of the pieces of the manifesto and deal with yourself. Like, I am powerful. Like, I am successful. I achieve success at any level I desire. I stand for my worth and my word. I say no without explanation or justification. That's a way to be powerfully you. And the second thing I want to give you is I'm confident and I'm not sorry. So one of the other things we do, ladies, is that we reflexively apologize, and we have reflexive and automatic apologetic ways of being. Like, people run into you in the store and you go, I'm sorry. It's just reflexive. It's like breathing, but it minimizes your power. It isn't actually polite. Excuse me is different than sorry. It's like you're sorry for taking up space. And other ways we do it, which this goes into more detail, is prefacing things, but like saying just, or if you don't mind, can I say something here? Or a hesitant or passive vocal tone. It's just my opinion. Like we're couching our brilliance in what we want to say. In this handout, which you can print out, it also gives you alternative ways of being. And I'm really committed to giving these two things to you. So here's how you get them. Pick up your cell phone right now and text the number 44222 and the word "be powerful." Now watch, autocorrect will put a space. Don't let there be a space in it. Then it'll come back and say, give me your email and we'll send you everything that we promised. Give me your email, we'll send you what we promised. I also write articles every week that are 500 to 800 words, very quick read, about something to empower you. If you don't like them, unsubscribe. I don't care, but I really want to give this to you. And then the last thing is, this is all the ways you can get a hold of me. Please friend me on Facebook and especially LinkedIn. That's where I'm very active as well. And this is my LinkedIn. You can get my book, Where'd My Confidence Go and How Do I Get It Back, if you think that would serve you, on Amazon. And then the last thing is that I am still interviewing women to write my second book, which is on ending the gender gap. And if you have a story to tell or some ideas about it, I would love to hear from you. Text the same thing, 44222, and the words "interview me" with no space, and I'd love to set up a time to talk to you. So thank you for your time and your attention, and I hope this webinar has been really valuable to you. Again, my name is Janet Zaretsky. I am the BS to Brilliance Master. Have a great day.